Hello everybody, today is Wednesday the 28th of June and it is 10 p.m. and I had to take a break a bit from crafting because I had different hurtings now again, but that's getting better, and I started to declutter a bit, or just try to organize some boxes I have, and I stumbled over some stuff, and some of it is, and I just want to talk a bit about it. So this is a stroll down memory lane. Different topics will be there, and I want to start with my bags because I have a succession of bags which I used, and there one can see how they evolved, and I want to throw them out, and I cannot throw them out because I want to remember that, and in the end I think I can throw them out but the first one. So those are my bags. This is the last one, which is pretty much the size I still use. And you see, this was the first one, which is very, very small. And this one I made with, what's it called again? Tarp, that I had from my little sister. They made a bag in school, and she had some leftover material. It's from a big truck. And I made this first bag, which is super tiny. I mean, this is my hand. It fit my phone and all my pass and stuff, or ID card. It was with me in New Zealand, and I also noticed things that I wanted to switch or make better. So those are very rough edges. They hurt. This is, I don't know, just stitched on. This one I sewed on the wrong way. So this part, the rough part, is exactly at the neck, and I couldn't detach it anymore. So from then on, I used reattachable things system, so I can turn it around, and I always have the rounded edge at my throat. So that stuff I just wanted to switch up. So this was the first one, and then I got some. Actually, one's missing. My second one's missing. This was from old tarp from my dad's advertisements. He had 10 of those things. So it was the third. And here again, here are the round edges and some. And this broke off. So even though I went over it a few times, when you go in with a card, it just opens those stitches. And before I throw them out, I will take off those rings. I had a long time. I had to go to the store and ask a few times for those keychain rings, and I always bought all the stock they had until I found online stores which sold 500 at once, because I made a lot of bags. And the Velcro is diagonal, but it doesn't always reach it, so I started doing those as lines later on. Then this was another one when I bought another Velcro type, stickable ones which move when it's hot, so this is not perfect, and there's still no double line. Maybe that was the second. I don't know. And I thought it's a Chiquita banana ad, and I like that thingy, but still very small. They got a bit deeper with time. The next one, I love green. Also tried out to glue something on with the hot glue, but it fell off. Those were fall leaves, which I cut out by hand, also from tarp. Here the whole Velcro has ripped off. Then I used those buttons for a while. It is a pain in the butt to sew those on, because you have to do that in the end, and it's very hard to do that. But you see the Velcro is like this. This, I guess, is the first one with an inner bag. And they're also the nice edge. I also have detached. I use them a lot. So I started doing those. I mean, the first one I had in 2002, 2003. And ever since then, I always have a bag like that with me. So it is now, that's 20 years of bags. And then this is also kind of the same. It is better. Oh, new with new buttons. That's not that old. It's still good, but it has started to go away there. So those are my bags. might not be that interesting, and they're very, very grimy to touch them. And now I can throw those out. This one is also a bit nostalgic too, because it's from my dad's planet tarp. Maybe I keep those, maybe not. But the first one I want to keep. Also had a flower on it somehow. Very small, but and it also smells still like then. Which brings us to over here. This is, I don't know what those, at colleges you have those things where when they're in a group, and it's those special groups. What are they called? Fraternity, sisterhood, brotherhood, I don't know. And on our last week of that college, I think, those students, we always do some skits or something, and somebody's idea, it might have been mine, was to take the piss out of them a bit. This is a kindergartner stripe thingy, because they were wearing a stripe like that, and I thought that's a bit ridiculous. And this says Sufusia, which means saufen. Sufe is a slang word for to drink alcohol, and they drink a lot of alcohol, so I I thought that's funny, Sufusia. And then we all gave each other a name, and I was Hearty. And I think we didn't come up with our name ourselves, and I like that I was Hearty. And we walked around with a beer in our hand all week long and wearing those kindergarten stripes. So it's now the next day, so Thursday, it is afternoon, and I have gone through another box, and I have some examples that I would like to show you before I throw it out. Some psychometricity examples that I did with kids, and yeah. So I often had to motivate them to draw and work on the hand motricity. And this is a huge picture, and we did play games. And then I think I drew a tiger which was hanging, because I had was kind of like a floating hammock where the kid was on, and he had to throw fish over there or something. I don't remember the game, but here he had to draw the lines or the fish and the water. Just this is a huge picture, and there's other dots and the fire. Yeah, so that was one thing, just to make him draw anything, because often they didn't want to draw at all because they had troubles with that. So another thing I did was pick up the interest of the kid, and this was from Dragons, the Dragon Riders of Berk, with toothless and things. And then we made a folder with a title page. I think I should have sent that to him. I forgot. And there's the map of things. So I went researching on the internet. I printed out pictures, which we then cut out. And there's some leftover ones. And then we made those Steckbrief. I don't know what the name is in English. So it had the name of the dragon, the picture, then the weapon it had. This has plasma lightnings. Then the color of the dragon, the eye color, what it eats, who it belongs to. So Hiccup, it's Hiccup's dragon. And then there's other ones. So, and this motivated the kid to do that too. And also I didn't let him work on it by himself, so I made my own folder too. We both worked on it. That helps immensely when they don't have to do that by themselves. And then the greatest part about that is that even I did have to leave that job because of my health. And then I heard that about half a year later, in the summer holidays, the boy was bored and he got out his folder and he worked on it again. And that's just very, very cute. And that was the boy. He's from a friend of mine who I went to school with, primary school. And the first lesson I had with him, at the end, we always sit together. We always start with how we're feeling and stuff, then we do things. And at the end of the lesson, we also sit down, reflect on the hour we had. And he said it was not good. And I said, why wasn't it good? I already felt bad about it. And then he said it was too short. So that's a big compliment. And that was very, very cute. And that was just, he was very against everything, and he often had the last word. but I gave him contra all the time, so I was always disagreeing with him. Sometimes I had to agree with him when he was actually right, but other than that, he had to learn that sometimes he's not right. He's not the king of the castle everywhere. And that was just very cute. And he really made big progresses. And he gave me compliments too. That was weird because he was the best in everything, which he wasn't. But he got better, he got more confident somehow, and then he could also be nice to others. And that was very, very cool. So that was one of those great stories. I had more than that. Which ones? There was a boy. It wasn't sure if he would accept the switch of therapists. I was filling in for a year because the therapist had a baby. And she said maybe he doesn't want to do therapy with me. He doesn't want to come into the room and things. And then he came, he looked at me, and his mom asked him if she should come in with him. And he said, no, it's good. And he just came in and started right away. And I'm very touched by that because he's a more shy boy. And in my presence, he played as if he were by himself. That was very, very cute. So he was very clowning around, very loud and doing his own show. And then I asked him to do that in front of his family too, like do a little show, but that was not the same. So I should not have done that. But it was just very, very cute how he trusted me from the beginning, from looking at me. Yeah, that's one of my favorites. I still have pictures and things of that one. This is another, that was an article. This is Rosemarie Graaf. She's now retired. She was my boss and we had a good time. And I need her address because I want to send her a card. I could ask her by email, but then I don't want to spoil the surprise. But yeah, that was very nice. I had more. Oh, there was another boy. He didn't hear well and he didn't want to play and things. Then I already talked to the parents that the hour is too long. Also, it's only 40 minutes, I think. But I said we need to do it either 20 minutes or half an hour because I couldn't get things done with him. And then I think they flushed out his ears at some point. He got to hear better. And then he was on holidays and he came back from the holidays. And from the end of the hallway, he started talking to me. And he wanted to do things all the time. And then the hour was not long enough. And that was just amazing. It had to do with his ears being flushed through, but also I think the confidence or the trust we built before, that I didn't push him and things, and he noticed that it's a safe space there. That was very nice. And I have one last, which was not so much for the heart, but just a very successful story too. There was another boy, and he spoke rudely. He had anger issues and stuff, and I should work with him on his fine motricity. And he was at home, he didn't have a lot of rules and things, so anti-authoritarian or something doesn't turn out so nice. Because even when you put kids together and they are anti-authoritarian or whatever it's called, they make out their own rules as a group of kids. So there's rarely a space where there's no rules at all. So if parents do that with kids, it doesn't turn out right. Because if kids do that amongst each other, they make out rules and they stick to those. And it's important to have rules and limits and stuff. And I would have had to work with him on his writing things, but I didn't get him to really be motivated to do that. And they need to be motivated, otherwise it's for nothing. He wrote, but he didn't care, he didn't try. So I worked with him more on his speech and we had problems finishing the hour. He always had an anger fit, and so I made clear that the rules are the rules and it's finished now, we need to stop it. And this went on for about a year. And then I had one, and then also the mom snowed into my lessons and was not very sensitive and sat in between us. It was just annoying. And after a long time, I finally said so. And now, from now on, every lesson we will work on a letter. And he said, yes, we can do that. So he was finally motivated to do that, or agreed to comply. I don't know the word. And then that week I got an email from his mum that said, I'm sorry, but no, everything new for ungood, but basically it's just a very big hit, that everything got better in school and everywhere, and the therapy he had before was better anyway, and she will now take him into a writing session somewhere, and yeah, that's that. And then at first I wanted to reply very rudely, and then I stopped and said, waited a bit, and then I wrote, yeah, okay, well, that sounds great, and so on and so on. And the mom, I don't know if she noticed that, maybe subconsciously, that it went better with me at some point. But all those progresses he had in school and stuff, that also came from behaving, from moderating his behavior, his speech, his anger issues. So that was that was kind of my doings a bit. And she did not see that, or didn't want to see that, or that subconscious thingy when suddenly it works with me and not at home. And yeah, it was very annoying, because also the therapist before me was very good, very structured and everything, but also had another aim thingy. So they worked on big motorical things, on big movements, and I had to bring him to the table and work on that. And that's the worst you have to do with a kid anyway. That takes so much to get them to the table and work with you, because they really have to also try to put an effort in it, or it's for nothing. So it was a different aim there. Yeah, that was the other one, which was a success, but ended with a very mean letter from the parents. So, and I just remembered another one. I had a little autist, and I was only the replacement for a few months, and I had to do something structured with him at the beginning, and then I let him play a lot by himself, and I felt so bad about that, because I just offered him, it's actually how you should do things also. I offered him a big landscape with things to swing off or to jump down, with different floor things, like going over mattresses or balancing stuffs. And then whilst he was doing that, I did comment a bit on what he was doing. And I think it got too much for him. So he went to the other part of the hall, of the gym hall we had, and he drew the curtain and played soccer there. So he was behind the curtain. I was on the other side as the therapist. Yeah, so I felt a bit bad about that. And then I went there too and tried to get him back. But in the end, what I had feedback from the old therapist that came back was, it was way better with Frau auf der Maur. So he liked it way better with me than with her, because I guess I let him do it a bit more by himself and things. And yeah, so that was that was very successful when the kid played behind the curtain in my therapy. Here you can see a bit what I mean by offering a playground, or just there you can climb. You have those very soft foam building blocks and stuff and so on, or something on the ground where you can jump over and things. And sometimes I also wanted them to to realize something, because I was even heavier than I am now, and a few were mean about that. So one boy said, "Boy, you're so fat," behind my back. So I didn't work with him on things. He was a little not so nice thingy. But another one, we played catch, and it was his idea. It was called monkey catch. So the only safe place was on those monkey ropes hanging from the ceiling, and I gave everything. I had a red head for the rest of the day, but I did not ask for a break. And he was sometimes very, very scared when I was very close to him, because I can sprint, and for that amount of time I really gave it all, until the boy asked me for a break. And I'm very proud of that, because I was spent, very spent, but I did not ask for a break. He had to. And then he had to realize that fat people can also run and can be fit. I wasn't that fit, but I held it up for that 30 minutes or 20 minutes. And yeah, it was just I think it's just very funny, because I ran after him and he looked around, and then I saw the fear in his eyes blinking up. Sometimes I don't do that, but with that little boy, he needed something like that. So just to teach him something. yeah, normally I'm very, very, what's it called? I pay attention to the other one, especially when they're shy or something. That's more likely my alley. So I never go over the boundaries or over the limits they set to make them feel safe. Even especially when you have a stuffed animal like a crocodile or a shark, they can be quite scary. And when they say you can only come to here, I never go past that spot. And I like doing that. And there was also a lesson we filmed, and then we looked at that in school, and the feedback I got was, at first they thought, oh, that's not such a good idea. But then when they saw how I stuck to the limits and boundaries, that was very good. I did like that a lot. Like, yeah. And another boy, I think there was with that other boy. He didn't want to come in the first lesson with me. He was too scared. It had also been after time that I had my seasonal depressions, and I didn't participate in the lessons with a real therapist, and I was just watching. And then the therapist wasn't there, and that was the first lesson I gave, and he refused to come in. He hid under the jacket of the mum, but they had those ball wagons which had wheels. So I went and got one of those and offered him a taxi ride, and then he went in there, and that was the start of that. So that was very cool too. And those things are just things I want to remember. That was very nice. And here I found some other things that I don't know what to do with. We got that picture from Honey. She took it. That's me, Martina, and Tanya, older sister, younger sister, me. Shortly after New Zealand, I guess 2003. We did not say we should hold our legs the same way, but we were quite a unit, and that's why it's so sad that she's in trouble right now. It's her. And I don't know where to put it. Then I have another nice picture. This is Lucia. Sad story. She died in 1999 with 16. She had a brain inflammation. And she was so good. And there's me. With a perm. So I don't know where to put those things. And this is now a box. There was 2 boxes and now it's 1. I also, things like I drew that. I don't know, I guess I copied it. I'm very good at copying, not so good at self-thingy. This is the book. This is the bachelor work I did with Rima. And it got published as a book. And I'm quite proud of that, even though it's not so good. I don't know if they read it or they just saw the title. I think there was a picture. There. You get moments when you have a therapy with horses, you get moments like this, that somebody is willing and motivated to get out of a wheelchair to get onto the horsey. Yeah, so that was nice. Then I found some old pictures which I might want to hang onto the door, so my neighbors know my cats. This is Mutsina, and this is Tilly. In the planter in my old flat. Was lovely there, was perfect for the cats. It was very good. I had to move. This is work I did for school, and it's just, I like my style how I did that. That was for a teacher's school. It's kind of like the teacher and student, and what you need, and other things that I find good and other things that I find bad, and so on. It was not the best work, but it was all right. I passed. Yeah, so that's that. And here are a few last things I'm decluttering. I have some sign language learning things. Those are little cards for stuff you do in your free time. Learning cards. And then there's this other one, topic is family. The 200 cards each. I wanted to learn sign language, but that's some time ago, and I am not so good at learning anymore. I don't have the energy for it. Then I have DVDs. This is for a book that you can use by itself. Here are six fairy tales on 2 DVDs. Aristocats, Snow White, Nemo, Bear, Brother Bear or something, Mulan and Tarzan. And this is like a dictionary. You can look up words. I just put some finger alphabets in here. And another book with illustrations. yeah, and I put that on Marketplace, Facebook. I hope somebody wants it. And then I'm not sure again. My riding helmet. It is from 2005 when I went to Ireland. Because in 2005 I was at teacher school and I wanted to teach English in the end. So I had to do an exchange time, work somewhere. So I went on a horse farm in Ireland where I could work and go riding for the work actually. And if I had gotten the certificate, it would have worked out for school too, but I quit that school anyway at some point, so it doesn't matter. And there in Ireland, I went jumping with horses. I did ride horses for quite a while, for 9 years or something before I went there, but I never jumped, and I only had 1 year of lessons. That's another story. And I didn't learn it there. It's just you have to, because the path goes on over the fence, the next fence. It's cross country actually. I jumped about that high, like tractor wheels, and it was horrible. I hated it, and you had to, because there was no other way around that. And also my teacher didn't, or the one I had a tinker once. They are very cold-blooded, and when they jump, they're more like a catapult. So there were, I think, 3 little jumps going towards that little with tractor wheels, and then the barrel in the middle. The small jumps with the first one, I lost the first stirrup, second one the second stirrup, so I was without stirrups, and I slowed down because I wanted to go around. But those horses are so habitually jumping those things. We went over it in slow motion, and I ended up on its neck, but I did not fall. So, but I did not get that horse again. And another time I had a very warm blood, or even more, and I led them all in a charge. Because there was a hill they always gallop up, canter up, and mine just went a bit sooner, and they all followed me. So I didn't have that horsey more than that either. Yeah, and then I had a very small, very cute horsey, which was perfect. Also like the big one, some big ones. But just jumping with that and big things, it was I hated it. I'm scared of things like that. And I thought we would learn it, and we didn't. And my riding story, I think with 7, I was allowed to take riding lessons in a little town outside of where I grew up. And then in winter, one day, I wanted to go sledding because all my classmates went sledding, or tobogganing, or what it's called. And then my mom said, you can do, either we go horse riding or that was it. So if you go sledding, that's it with the horse lessons. And I went sledding, and that was it with the horse lessons. So that's strict. That is very consequent. And then I had to wait 2 years, I think, because in the other riding place where my older sister started to ride, they took 9-year-olds, and I was 7. So the other one was the only place they took younger kids. So then with 9 years, I could go back to riding. And then I think I had about a year of lessons. And then we went to private horses. And there were 2 older riders and 3 horses. And we could just, one or the other, Tanya or me, in a weekly turn, one stayed back and did the stables, and the other one was allowed to go on the ride with them. And then we went together at some point. We got our own day. So we were 2 riders with 3 horses. So we had a hen horse. And we were not that old. I was about 12. And Tanya 14. And we even had to pass elephants, actual real elephants, because the elephants from the circus used to have their winter part there or something. My dad went to school with the guy who had the elephants. And our horses were scared of those elephants, and we had to pass elephants. and with tractors and stuff, trucks, the horses went through, and we fell, and it was fun. And yeah, 2 kids, 3 horses. So, and only 1 year of lessons. And then I went to Ireland and jumped without any lesson. So, and that is that. I think that's enough for today. I need to eat something, and then I don't know. So thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next one.